Hello everyone, and welcome to this educational presentation of this tool will instantly tell you the trend. Now, it's been said before that the trend is your friend and that you need to know the proper trend of anything you're trading, regardless of stocks, futures, commodities, currency pairs, in order to have a high probability trade. And this is really true. In my 40 years of trading, I haven't found anything that is more truer than that statement. The trouble is everyone has a different idea of what they think the trend is or how it's established. And most of these, in my opinion, are incorrect because they're relying on an outside source, either a very slow and updating indicator or a very outside source, such as someone in a chat room or even some fundamental news to tell them when a trend has been established. For example, I'd like you to look at this example here that was presented just a week ago in Yahoo Finance, where it said the Dow hit 22,000 for the first time ever. And as you can see, the Dow Jones Industrial Average crossed the 22,000 mark for the first time on Wednesday, boosted by a rally in Apple. Okay, Apple shares jumped more than 6% in early trades, sending the Dow to trade above its latest milestone in just minutes after the market's opening. Now that's, basically what they're saying. It was because of Apple that got us to go up this high. But I want you to pay particular attention to this last statement where it says the Dow has now crossed 4 successive 1,000-point milestones since Trump was elected November 8th, when the Dow closed at 18,332. Okay, so a lot of people will say, well, whoever's in presidency, regardless if Clinton won, if Trump won, it really doesn't matter. In fact, we don't look at anything close to that when we try to determine what the market's going to do. And why is that? It's because our philosophy is the market always tells us in advance what it wants to do. So if you look at a chart here of the diamonds, this is a weekly chart of the diamond ETF. It represents the Dow Jones Industrial Average. That's where the news came out on the 22nd there, where we've traded at the highest point ever. Well, this tool I'm going to be sharing and revealing to you today would have told you as early as 9 months prior to that we were going to be in an uptrend. So there's no reason to wait to see who's in presidency, who was elected. There's no reason to wait on some convoluted indicator or some milestone to tell us that the trend is going to be in place. We already knew that the market was going higher, and this is the tool that I will be revealing to you. And you can start using it as soon as we get to the promotional part of this presentation, where you can start applying it to your own trading as early as today if you'd like. Okay, so this promises to be a great presentation. As you can see, my name is Steven Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. If you're new to my webinars, we are all about educating you. That's our sole purpose in life, to educate you as traders, to teach you how to trade, because there are too many traders failing. It's been estimated upwards of 80 to 85% of all traders fail. And we don't mean that you'll go into some type of drawdown or slump. This literally means that you'll give away all your hard-earned money that you've saved for trading. And why is this? Everyone thinks that, well, it's because I purchased the wrong system or I got involved with the wrong teacher. That could be a part of the problem. But over my 4 decades of trading, what I found is the real reason is because most of us are giving our power away. We're relying on someone or something else to tell us what to do. And the reason is because we haven't been supplied with the proper information, the proper education, so that we can make our own trading decisions. Think of it. Think of how you make your own trading decisions. Do you go to a chat room, or do you get your signals from a signal source every day, such as an email or some type of service that provides you with the tips of the day? Or do you watch the news to see what the guys are touting on TV? This is probably the way most traders trade, and this is why most traders fail. Now, I started out 40 years ago on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years. 9 of those years I was a specialist. That simply means that you made markets in roughly about 50 stocks. If anyone wanted to buy or sell, they had to go to the trader who specialized in that particular equity. So I was a specialist during the crash of 1987 and the bull market that followed. I've traded just about every market environment imaginable: slow markets, straight up markets, straight down markets. I've traded just about every system or strategy you can think of. So I know what works in terms of consistency, and I know what doesn't. Just about 8 years ago, I teamed up with my sister site, Pro Trader Strategies, and we formulated Specialist Trading, where all we do is teach and mentor our students in over 110 countries around the world and in virtually every state in the United States, all the things I've accumulated in my 4-decade career, and things that have shown high levels of consistency. so that we can put you back in the driver's seat, so that ultimately through our education, you can make your own trading decisions. This, in our opinion, is the only way one becomes a consistent trader. Not by buying the perfect system, not by listening to the perfect trading guru, but by making your own trading decisions. And you'll see that in just a few seconds, how I show you how simple it is once you learn how to listen to the market. So I'm going to show you a lot of examples, show you a lot of ways to trade in sync with the trend. But before we do, I ask that you please take a moment to view our disclaimer. We are required to show you this. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this new tool, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. So as I stated, we are required to show you this, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. And I would also like to take this time, if you haven't done so already, to invite you to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. You may want to copy it down, abbreviation for Specialist Trading. I post different information on a daily basis, information regarding signals on stocks, futures, currency pairs, and these are just for educational purposes only. Once you take our courses, you will understand the full reason why signals were generated. I also post just little bits of wisdom along the way to help you with your trading, so feel free to follow us on Twitter. Okay, so as I stated at the very beginning statements of this presentation, we are an educational company. And the reason why is because, I make no secret about this, my first year or two on the floor, when I had access to advanced information at the time, even though it was 40 years ago, I struggled tremendously. Even though I was on the floor, I had a book, I knew where the orders were, I had access to what the institutions were doing and where the orders were placed. I struggled just as if I were someone sitting at their home office trading for the first 2 weeks of their life. I was no further along than anyone, and my mentor saw how much I was struggling. Okay, so they tried to turn my way of trading around. This is the edge that turned my trading around, and this is the same edge we want to teach each and every one of you. Hopefully it will sustain you so that you'll be able to trade 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Now here's what I learned trading on the floor of the exchange. Once again, I started just like everybody else. I was listening to all the news. I was waiting with bated breath on all the earnings reports. I had maybe about 10 or 20 indicators plotted on my screen. I was trading far too many stocks, not only my 50 that I made markets in, but a host of other stocks as well. And I wasn't making a dime. I was doing all the right things. I was looking at support and resistance, volume, Fibonacci. Nothing was working in terms of consistency. Every once in a while it would work, but over time I would give it all back. I was buying when I should have been selling and selling when I should have been buying. I was virtually on the wrong side of the majority of my trades. So I was lucky enough to have a few mentors. These were specialists themselves who saw how much I was struggling. And they saw that I most likely wasn't going to be on the floor much longer if I continued to trade that way. And they taught me some things that I really feel strongly have been able to sustain me going on 40 years now, and that have been able to give me the longevity in trading any market, any time frame. And I remember here's one of the first things they told me. They said, Steve, elite specialists, the ones who've been trading 30, 40, 50 years on the floor of the exchange, don't concern themselves with any of these distractions. And they specifically said they were distractions. In fact, they called them noise. Anywhere from news events to earnings to volume to trading gurus. They said they basically were distractions. And they said if these guys don't concern themselves, then neither should you. So that's basically what the gist is of what we teach people. It's not about adding things to your trading plan. It's about stripping things away. And once you do that, that's when you'll get closer to the success you've been searching for. Not by adding things, but by taking things away. So that's the basic philosophy about what we do and what we teach at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies. Now, before we begin, I just want to say, since this is going to be conducted like a classroom, if you happen to have any questions, please wait till the very end. I promise I'll get to each and every one of them, okay? If you have to leave early or if you're having technical difficulties, yes, this is being recorded, and Pro Trader Strategies will send you a link to this recording, okay? So if you happen to join us late, please wait till the very end, just about 25, 30 minutes from now, and we'll go over any questions you may have. Okay, so let's talk about the power of the Pet D. We've had presentations where I've devoted the entire hour to the Pet D, and I'm going to talk about that today because this is one of the most important tools we have. This is the tool that instantly tells you the trend because it's based simply on a tick-by-tick basis of the formula. Okay, it's a proprietary color bar algorithm. I was introduced to this 40 years ago by my mentors, and at the time we had to actually calculate it by hand. But now, because of high-speed computers and programmers, we've proprietarized it into a color bar algorithm. So all you have to do is basically look to see what color it is. If you see a series of green bars, the PET D is telling you we're in an uptrend. If we have a series of red bars, it's telling you you're in a downtrend. And that's it. Let me show you how powerful this is in terms of applying it. Okay, here's an older chart of Aetna. As we can see, this is the way most traders will trade. They'll see a nice uptrend and they'll say, okay, well, it looks like we've established it's met all of my requirements. So you get in roughly around right here, and then right here, it falls out of bed, and then you wind up losing and giving everything that you just maybe would have made on the previous trade. Once we apply the PET D by simply using our new PTS Primo charts, as we see here, this is our platform. It's as simple as just clicking on the PET D tab, the colors automatically change. And you know in advance, we knew well back here that we were in an uptrend, and we knew well before the market fell out of bed that we had now changed into a downtrend. So as it says, the beauty of the PET D is that it tells you which direction you should be trading. And once you know the direction, you can apply any strategy, any method, any technique to that direction. Let me show you some more examples of just how powerful this is. Here's an example in TEVA, okay, TEVA. This is going into this past week, into August. Now, prior to this, it looked as if there was no trend at all, okay? We're basically going sideways. Now, once we click on the PET D tab in our upper green strategy tab column here, we see that the colors automatically change. Now, the rule of thumb is 3 consecutive bars of the same color tell you the trend. So right here, we were in a downtrend. And then we changed to an uptrend because the bars turned green, okay? And then we changed back to a downtrend. Now, remember, this is not simply telling you to buy or sell. It's simply telling you the trend. And the trend, you know, can last for 3 bars. It can last for 300 bars. The rule of thumb is when you see 3 consecutive bars in a row, that is telling you that a trend has changed. So even though we kind of flip-flop back and forth, there was no harm, no foul, no damage done because the market really basically stayed sideways and we hadn't generated any signals yet. But ultimately, it did kick in after this series of red bars because as we can see coming into last week, the stock fell out of bed. And even though a signal wasn't generated, you knew that you were in a downtrend, that you should never be buying if the bars are red, and you should never be selling if the bars are green. So right there, the PET D would have kept you out of trouble. Maybe you would not have shorted this, but at least you would know not to have gone long. How about AJRD? Okay, now obviously looking at this coming into July, we're in a downtrend. All right, it doesn't take much knowledge to know that, okay? But how do we know when that trend's going to change? We've been going lower. This little blip we've had coming into July could be just a little pullback, and then we had much, much lower. Well, we simply click on the PET D in our upper tab here, and the bars automatically change colors. And we've been red going the whole way down. In fact, we were red well in advance going the whole way down. But what do we have here? We have 3 green bars. So what does that tell us? It tells us that this trend is most likely over. Even though price is basically right around the same, it's telling us that most likely you should, if you're short, cover your short, or if you're thinking about going long, you should get ready for some type of strategy or method or technique to tell you to go long because the stock took off, okay? And as it's gone higher, all of the bars have remained green, and then even look what happened last week. We had a very nice upward move and upward gap opening. Now, obviously, this was based probably on some news, some announcement that came out in the company. Did we know that in advance a month prior? No. All we knew is that the market, not some analyst or not some brokerage house or not some guy in a trading room, but the market was telling us a month in advance that I'm changing trend. It's time for you to switch and to only look at me in terms of buying instead of going lower and selling, okay? Now, a lot of people say, well, Steve, you know, I've tried things like this before, but whenever news comes out, I'm always on the wrong side. The trend tool, the indicator is telling me to go short. News comes out, and then it goes the opposite direction, and I'm left holding the bag. I lose a lot of money. I've got to cover on a big gap opening. Well, listen, I'm not here to tell you that this works 100% of the time. And if anyone tells you that any tool, any indicator, any method works 100% of the time, you should run, because nothing in the world works that way. Regardless of what category, regardless of what career you have, nothing works 100% of the time. What we're looking for is consistency, overall consistency, and that's what the PET-D gives you. For example, let's look at this news event that just came out just about 3 weeks ago. In Netflix, Yahoo Finance reported that Netflix shares climb on millions of new subscribers. Now, Netflix added more than 5 million new subscribers in the second quarter, beating its forecast for both domestic and international customers. The company's stock obviously climbed more than 10% in after-hours trading. Excuse me. So as we look at the chart here, here's where the news came out, right here. And at this time, based off that news, so many people will say, well, okay, now I know this has to be good news. We're in an uptrend. I mean, Netflix is not going to go lower based on that kind of news. This is where I want to start looking to buy, or maybe I'll buy based off that news. All right? Have you done this before? Maybe some of you got long Netflix based on that. Well, that's okay. I mean, sometimes that will work, but would you have liked to have gone in Netflix, or at least known you were in an uptrend somewhere back here? Well, you could have. Click on the PET-D tab in our PTS Primo charts, and what do we have? 3 green bars. So you knew well back in the beginning of July that you should only be going long. And you could have based it on any technique or method you use. It could be based off of, let's say, multiple indicators. It could be based off of support resistance. It really doesn't matter. The point is, you would have known a week in advance to look to go long Netflix. So this is the beauty of the PET-D. Oftentimes, not guaranteed, but oftentimes you know in advance what the market is going to be doing prior to a news announcement, prior to something happening, okay? All right, so we've seen there are many advantages to using the PET-D, and obviously one of the first advantages is it gives you the security of trading in sync with the current trend. Obviously, we know now, well before a lot of instances, what the trend is going to be. So we can use it that way, but the thing is, it's still only telling us the trend. We don't really know how to apply it in terms of trading. Now you can use it as a stop placement technique, and we show you in the course, in the PET-D course, how to use that to protect your trades. But once again, how do we get in? Because up until now, I've just showed you what the trend is and how it can really give you an early warning, tell you in advance what the trend is before any other tool, before any other method, better than anything I've used in my 40 years of trading. And I've used just about everything to find out the trend, and this is better than anything I've ever used. Well, here's the good news, because one of the main advantages to using the PET-D is that it supplies you with numerous, and I mean numerous, trading techniques that are based solely off the color bars. Now you notice here, I say a trading technique, and not a trading system or a trading strategy, because those all come with a complete set of rules for entry, for exit, for stop placement, for money management. You need all of those pieces of the puzzle in order to trade a system or a strategy. A technique is just sharing with you a high probability area for entry. How you decide is entirely up to you. But it supplies you with numerous different techniques which we teach in our courses. In fact, I'm going to share one with you today. This is probably one of the simplest and one of the easiest, as well as one of the most consistent trading techniques we have for trading with the PET-D. Okay, so you may want to take out your notes, but remember, this is all being recorded, so you can watch this recording as often as you'd like. But look for price to trade above an all green pivot high. That's when the PET-D colors all 3 of the bars in a pivot high green. And you're going to want to buy when price trades 1 tick or 1 pip above that pivot high. So here, if you're not familiar with what a pivot high is, it's a 3-bar pattern, okay? And usually you have bar number 1 making a high, bar number 2 makes a higher high, and bar number 3 makes a lower high. So you kind of create this kind of arrowhead approach, as you can see right here, going higher and then lower, okay? What you want to see is once you apply the PET-D, you want to see all 3 of these colored green, each and every one. And once you see that, your buy setup is to go long once we trade 1 tick above. It doesn't have to close there, But on the bars to follow, once we trade above this high here, that's your setup to go long. Okay? Now, what if you want to go short? We know a lot of people don't actually go short stock, but they may want to purchase some puts. I would say the majority of our members do trade options, and many of them like to purchase calls and puts. So you could have purchased calls here, and if you're selling, you can purchase puts. In this case, you want to look for price to trade below an all red pivot low. We're just doing the opposite. And we're going to sell when price trades one tick or one pip below that pivot low. So here's the way a pivot low looks. Now we have three bars, the same pattern, but now we just turned it upside down. Bar number 1 makes a low, bar number 2 makes a lower low, and bar number 3 makes a higher low. So now you have this type of a V pattern right here if you connect the bottoms. Once you apply the PET D, and it's so simple to apply with our new PTS charting platform because all you have to do is click on the PET D tab, it automatically changes the colors, and you will instantly know if all three bars are green or red, excuse me. If they're all red, then you're going to sell if we trade intra-bar one tick or one pip below. Doesn't have to close below, just has to trade there. I know it seems simple, right? How could it be that simple? How can this really work? Well, remember, this is just a technique. We're not telling you where to get out. We're not telling you where to place your stop. Let me show you how powerful this technique is and the amount of points you could have captured with applying this technique to your trading. Let's look at some stock examples, okay? All right, we're looking at Amgen on our platform. Obviously, in hindsight, someone said, well, Steve, yes, I mean, it's safe to say we're in an uptrend. I mean, I know we're in an uptrend coming into August here, but I wanted to know we were in an uptrend down here, so I could have looked to go long. All right, well, you just click on the PET D tab up here, and look what happens. The bars instantly change color, okay? So we knew well in advance that we were in an uptrend back here in the 157, 158 level, okay? Now, we want to look for these short-term pivot highs, a high followed by a higher high, then a lower high. You see there, okay? Then we have another example, another high, higher high, lower high. We see these all the way going up. Once we trade intra-bar one tick above, that's our buy. And we always tell our students that if you're going to use this technique, you have the biggest bang for your buck on the very first signal, the very first time you get one of these setups after coming out of a downtrend. So had you taken this signal right here, well, that's 20 points to the upside you could have taken advantage of. Now, it's up to you because, once again, this isn't a strategy. We're not telling you to exit at 20 points every time you get one of these. This is up to you. Remember what I said in the opening statement. The reason why most traders fail is because you're relying on someone or something to tell you how to trade. Put the power back in your own hands. You can decide. If you want to take 1 point, that's fine. If you want to take 20, it's up to you. You have to be in charge. We provide you with the different techniques and methods so you can decide how to be in charge, okay? How about Costco? Okay, once again, in hindsight, we're in an obvious downtrend. How could we have taken advantage of that by knowing back here we were going to be in a downtrend? Well, we click on the PET D tab, and we knew well in advance that all the bars were red. We look for these short-term lows. We have a low here, a lower low, a higher low. We have the three-bar pattern, a low, a lower low, a higher low, all going all the way down and lower. So that's where you want to sell. Had you taken the very first one, that's 11 points in your favor coming into August, okay? None of this is based off news. None of this is based off earnings. None of this is based off Fibonacci support or pullbacks. It's all based off of trading with the trend and listening to the trend. I know some of you could say, well, Steve, this is based off using an indicator, right? I mean, isn't that the same thing? Not really, because this is really not an indicator. It's a tool which simply translates what the market wants to do. This tool doesn't tell you how low the market's going to go. It doesn't tell you how high the market's going to go. So it's not predictive. It just tells you on a tick-by-tick basis what the market wants to do. So for the very first time, you've learned how to listen to the market as opposed to listening to an outside source, such as some trading guru or some earnings report. Remember, this is the way most traders trade, by listening to outside sources, myself included when I first started, and there's no consistency in that. If there were consistency in that, then 80% of all traders would be successful and consistent. but it's the opposite. So obviously we've been listening to the wrong thing all these years. And what is the one thing we should be listening to? The market. The good news is that the PET D translates what the market wants to do on a tick-by-tick basis. All we have to do is jump on board. And that's what our methods do. We teach you how to jump on board. In this case, we're trading one tick below the short-term pivot low that is colored red by the PET D. All right, let's look at VRSN. Once again, in hindsight, it's safe to say we've been in an uptrend. But how could we have known well in advance? Well, we apply the PET D, and we've known well in advance, down here at 90, before we got up to par, that we were in an uptrend, okay? So we look for the short-term tops. Once we trade one tick above, we go long, and if we take in the very first one, it's 11 points in our favor coming into August. How about IBM? Well, this is a good example of how the trend changes and how you can take advantage of a trend moving one way and then changing direction. A lot of people say, well, Steve, this is where I get whipsawed. I'm not here to tell you that it works 100%, just as I've said before. Nothing works 100%. So really, you got to get that out of your mindset. What we're trying to capture are techniques and methods that have shown high levels of consistency. And that's what the PET D does. And the reason it does is because it's listening to the market. You can't be any more consistent than trying to follow what the market's doing. So as we apply the PET D here, we simply click it on and it changes the colors. Initially, they were all green, telling us that we were in an uptrend. And you could have taken advantage of this very first pivot. And had you decided not to sell, well, that's okay. You would have switched gears here because look what happened. You would have either broken even if you moved your stop up or taken a small loss, but you could have quickly regained that loss. That's the meaning of consistency, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So that 1 step back would have been this small loss here, but you could have easily recouped it by taking this very first short and capturing 25 points coming into July. Now the PET D told us well in advance, roughly about 165, 170, that we were in a downtrend before all of this took place. Now, I know a lot of you like to trade longer term, swing trading on weekly bars or even looking at monthly bars for investments. And a lot of you say, well, Steve, I don't trade daily bars. I like to trade more an investment type of longer term approach. It makes absolutely no difference. The PET D just takes every tick and decides for you. It's up to us to decide what time frame we want to apply it to. Here's a weekly chart of WTW. It's Weight Watchers. As we've seen lately, it's been going straight up. On a weekly chart, it's safe to say here that since March, we've been in a very, very strong uptrend coming into the first week of August here. Okay, how could we have known in advance to take advantage of this if we wanted to swing trade using this technique? Well, it's the same process. You click on the PET D Fast module, and we've known as far as December that we've been in an uptrend, all right? We haven't had to listen to any news, any earnings to see who bought the stock. Oprah Winfrey bought a large stake in it. I believe it was here. And that's when the stock spiked up. We don't care about that stuff because the market was already telling us prior to all those announcements, I'm in an uptrend. So start buying. Don't worry about the outside sources. There's no consistency in those things. There's tons of great news events that come out and stocks or the market goes down. And there's tons of terrible news that comes out and the market or stocks continue to go higher. So don't rely on those things. Only rely on what I want to do. And so right here on a weekly time frame, Weight Watchers was telling us as far back as December that it wanted to go higher. So we apply the same technique, and you could have purchased it back here in February, and it's gone 30 points to the upside. That's how much you would have had to work with all the way up, okay? Now we can look at Facebook as well. Now we all know that Facebook's been going straight up. On a weekly chart here, we do the same process. And once we, on a weekly basis in January, decided to have 3 consecutive bars, we could have taken advantage of this very first short-term pivot high, gone long here if you're a swing trader, and you had 45 points in your favor coming into August. Now that's on a weekly time frame. What if you wanted to go out even further on a monthly time frame? Well, let's look at a monthly chart. Same thing. We're looking back here at July of 2013. Okay, all right, we're going back a good 4, almost 5 years. Did we need to look at the earnings for Facebook? Did we need to look at what's going on economically in the world or what's happening with news events? No, the entire time Facebook has been telling us, I don't listen to that stuff, so neither should you. I'm going higher. Would you like to jump on board and join me? Okay, that's the only thing we should be listening to. And on a monthly basis, it's been telling us well in advance in July of 2013 to go long. So we apply the same approach. And starting in November of 2013, we've had 120 points in our direction. Okay? Trading is simple when you take all of the useless information out of the way. Remember I stated how my mentor said, Steve, get rid of these useless distractions. I mean, premier and elite specialists don't listen to these, so why should you? And it's because of those statements that I believe I've been able to trade for the last 4 decades. And this is what we're trying to instill in all of our members around the world. Now here's a weekly chart of the diamonds. Once again, we talked about this before. However, and we're saying, boy, we've broken 22,000. How could we have known? This is amazing. Well, all you have to do is apply the PET D on our new PTS Primo charts. We knew back as early as November, okay, regardless of who won the election, that we're going higher. So all we had to do was look for the same pattern, and that was 25 points to the upside coming into August, which represented hundreds of points in the Dow, okay, if not thousands. Now that's a weekly chart. You want to go back even further, here's a monthly chart of the diamonds, which represents the Dow Jones Industrial. Going back to March of 2016, the same process. We're already saying we wanted to go higher. This is before the election. This is before the things that have happened in the world that you've known for the past year or two. The market is just telling you it wants to go higher. So we can apply the same technique I just shared with you this morning, and that's 40 points coming into August, which represents thousands and thousands of points in the Dow. Okay? There's no need to waste your time with this fundamental news because the market is telling you in advance what it wants to do. If anyone needed to listen to fundamental news on the floor, it was a specialist, right? After all, I was making markets in roughly 50 stocks. But the only point is, it wasn't helping me. I'd know all the earnings, I'd know all the foundations of the company, and I still couldn't make a dime. My mentor said, listen, Steve, if you're investing, sure, you need to know what's going on with a company. But if you're trading and getting out maybe a week or a month later, there's no reason to concern yourself with news. So I virtually stopped looking at news some 40 years ago. I don't watch the news on a daily basis, but since our credo is never to tell traders how to trade, we give you the option to do that if you'd like to, but it is no way required that you concern yourself with news at specialist trading. Why overburden yourself trying to discern if it's good or bad, if it's going to help or not? It's just too complicated. Now, I know a lot of you don't trade stocks. You say, Steve, this is great, but I don't trade stocks. I don't invest long term. I'm an intraday trader of the futures. Okay, let's look at the E-mini S&P. This is a 15-minute chart. This is going back, I believe, in July, just about 3 weeks ago. We had a strong, strong uptrend. How could we have taken advantage of that? Click on the PET D, and we knew well before the uptrend took place that we were going higher because all the bars were green on a 15-minute time frame in an entirely different market. You see how it makes no difference? As long as the PET D can just work its formula out, it doesn't care if we're looking at stocks, futures, currency pairs, commodities. It will still tell you what the trend is. And we applied the same technique of looking for the short-term pivot highs. And right here, that would have been 10 points to the upside, or $500 per contract by the end of the day. Now here's an hourly chart, obviously in a downtrend. Makes no difference. We click on the PET D. We knew well before the market fell out of bed that we were going to be going short because the bars are all red. So we applied the same technique. And remember, this is just one of multiple techniques. This is just one of the easiest and the simplest ones to spot. There are so many other techniques for trading with the PET D. But with this simple techniques, that's 20 points to the downside in the next few days, okay? We're talking about $1,000 per contract. Let's look at another market, the Forex market. A lot of you like to trade currency pairs, okay? We're going to apply this to the euro dollar. This is the euro dollar current chart coming into this past week in August, okay? We've been in a pretty strong uptrend. How could we have known in advance that we were in an uptrend? We simply click on the PET D, And we've known well in advance, as far back as June, because all the bars were green. So someone looking at here will go, "Boy, Steve, I mean, gosh, I could have taken advantage of this a month or two ago." Sure. And most traders lose money because they're doing the opposite. They'd probably say to themselves, well, that chat room I go to says that the euro dollar is so overbought. All the indicators are overbought, and the Fibonacci resistance is right at this level, so I'm going to short this right here, and it keeps going up. Okay? This is the way most traders trade. They're always selling when they should be buying and buying when they should be selling. Well, with the PET D, you always know what you should be doing for the short term because the colors tell you what to do. So we would have applied the same approach right here, and that's 450 pips coming into August, nearly $5,000 per contract. Now that's to the upside. At the very same time, the Canadian dollar has been heading lower, okay, coming into August of this past week. Well, it wasn't a surprise to us because we knew well in advance, the Canadian dollar was going lower on a daily time frame. Okay? If you lost money trading the Canadian dollar, it was because you were trying to buy somewhere based off of support, maybe based off of what the institutions are doing, or what some brokerage house is telling you, or what some Forex site is telling you, some trading guru is telling you that the Canadian dollar has bottomed out, that the economic news is coming out, and that you've got to purchase the Canadian dollar. And as that news comes out, and as everyone is telling you it's far too oversold, guess what? It continues to go lower and lower. This is what most traders do. They try to pick tops and bottoms. With the PET D just tells you this is what I want to do. It's a lot simpler. You're going to sleep a lot better at night if you just come on board. So we applied this same technique, and guess what? If you had applied this technique in the Canadian dollar, that would have been 800 pips in just a little over a month that you would have had potentially been able to capture. Okay? It's 800 pips. I mean, it's $8,000 per contract. That's just, it doesn't get any simpler than that. Okay, so before we go to question and answers, let's recap. What I shared with you was a simple trading technique out of many trading techniques that when using the PET D pinpoints quick momentum moves in any direction, in any time frame, and I might add in any market. I know a lot of you, I always get this question after I go through my presentations. I like to show you how our methods work for multiple markets, not just stocks. And I inevitably get the question, does this work for the E-mini futures? So yes, it does. Does it work for currency pairs? Yes, it does. I've just shown you examples of intraday trading, weekly charts, monthly charts, daily bars. It does not matter. The only thing I didn't show was commodities, but trust me, it works just as well on commodities, okay? Now, before you ask me questions, I want to ask you one, and ask yourself honestly, do you think this edge could have helped your trading this past year? In fact, go back and look at your last 5, 10, 20 trades, and most especially look at the losses. Mostly when you were losing, probably because you bought and the stock, the future, the currency pair kept going lower and lower and lower. Or perhaps when you sold, it kept going higher and higher and higher. Wouldn't you have liked to have had the PET D tell you what the market wanted to do so you could be in sync with the current time frame, the current short-term time frame? Well, here's our special discount, our special offer for all the attendees today. We're going to offer you the PET D, all right? This is our summer special. That's our Primo Early Trend Detector. We call this our roadmap for virtually any market. It's our proprietary color bar algorithm. Now, with this course, you're going to get 2 continuation trading techniques, plus 2 pullback trading techniques, plus a trailing stop technique. And you're going to get weekly webinars, and you're showing you how you can apply this to any market, any strategy, and any time frame. In addition, you're going to get personal correspondence with myself, with yours truly. So if you have any questions, you can just simply contact me via email, and I'll answer them as best possible. We're also going to throw in the PTS Primo charting platform for you to make it easy so that you don't have to worry about uploading or making sure that the add-on will apply to your current software. We're going to throw in the new PTS Primo charts. We've developed this with Pro Trader Strategies. It's something I'm very proud of because it's really the trading educational portal you've been searching for. It has everything in there, one-stop shopping. It's just one click away. Now, this usually Just the real-time PTS Primo charting platform usually runs close to $900, possibly $1,000. We're throwing in 3 months of the real-time platform for free, totally free. Now, it just doesn't come with the PET D. We're also going to give you the buy-sell line. That's a tool that has roughly about 3 or 4 different categories that can show you what the right side of the market is to be on for the overall trend. Now, the PET D shares with you the short-term trend. The buy-sell line will tell you the overall trend. So now there's no need to look at different time frames. You know the overall trend and the short-term trend right there in one simple click away. We also have another feature called 25% closes. It's another way of showing you what the market wants to currently do. We're also going to throw in steps. These are 2 distinct and very highly profitable entry techniques, or I should say probable. Can't say profitable because we don't know what you're trading or how you're going to exit. But the very probable entry technique. So if you're having trouble with your current strategy, or you just don't know where to enter or how to re-enter into a trade, Steps is for you. That's also included free. And lastly, we're going to throw in the scanner. So anytime you want to scan for any of these features, any of these categories, you can scan. It's a very simple scanner. It's as easy as just uploading whatever market you want to look. It could be a particular portfolio that you watch on a nightly basis, or it could be the entire NASDAQ 100. It makes no difference. And you simply click on scan, and it will automatically spit out the buy and sell signals for that day. Okay? This is all included free for 3 months, real time, with the PET-D. Remember, this is our roadmap for any market. The PET-D, including the new PTS Primo charting platform, 3 months of real time. Now, if you purchase this separately without this discount, this would run close to $5,000. That's how much information we have jam-packed in here. Here's what we're offering for our special today. We're going to throw in everything for a one lump sum fee of $29.95, but we'll also have payment plans. So let's say you can't come up with that sum. That's okay. You can work with Pro Trader Strategies for a small deposit. You can be up and running as soon as today. You can be asking me questions and applying the PET-D real time on our new platform. So don't waste. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. Don't waste any time. You can call them directly at area code 310-598-6677. And you see that's the link right there at the bottom of the screen. There is a live link posted for you on the chat box in the far right hand corner. You can simply click that on, and that will take you right to the sign up page. And I would suggest contacting Pro Trader Strategies because it's probably a lot easier to put together a payment plan. And so there's no obligation. You can ask them more questions, but if you call them at 310-598-6677, they'll be happy to work with you with a payment plan. And so you can be up and running as early as the next hour or so. Okay, I'm going to leave all this information up here, and I want to thank you so much for holding off on any questions. As I promised, this is our question and answer time. So let's see, a couple of people were saying there was no sound. I didn't get any other complaints. We did a test earlier today, so it probably was your connection. But remember, if you were not able to hear this, a link to this recording will be sent to you, okay? Suraj was asking, can you show an example of the Australian dollar in a 15-minute chart? Well, unfortunately, Suraj, this isn't a live presentation. I don't have access to live charts right now. This is just a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm sure if you contact Pro Trader Strategies, they could tell you, they could fill you in on what the Australian dollar is doing on a 15-minute time frame. And yes, Libby, they will have a, you came in late, they will send you a link to this recording. One thing I want to suggest, though, a lot of our members have had to pay full price because they will sit on a recording for maybe a week or two, and then they won't take advantage of the discount. And then they'll finally convince themselves that, boy, this is what I want. Maybe they'll take 2 or 3 more trades using their own method, and then they lose thousands of dollars and go, boy, I could have used this to purchase the PET-D. And so then they come back to purchase it, say, can I take advantage of that discount again that Steve talked about a couple of weeks ago, and it's already been too late. So if we want you to watch the video, but please don't just sit on it for the next couple of weeks or a month. You have to take advantage of this discount quickly before we move on to the next course, okay? Student is asking, does the strategy number 4 still generate a signal? Yes, that's an entirely different method. We didn't talk about strategy number 4. That's a complete, full-fledged strategy. So remember, when a full-fledged strategy is given in the course, we tell you all the entry, all the stop placement, all the exits, the money management, the different entry points, the different exit points, but that's in a strategy course. This is just a trend following course, okay? So all we're trying to do is show you how to be in sync with the trend, and then we give you multiple ways to trade with the trend. But you can still apply whatever strategy you're currently trading. Let's say you have a strategy that you're currently using that is just okay. Maybe it's 50-50. For every trade you make, you win some, you lose some, you really haven't made any money. We really feel strongly that once you apply the PAT D, you'll increase your odds for consistency tremendously. In addition to that, you're going to get all these other features we supply for the next 3 months real time with the new PTS charting platform. And I can't stress enough how great it is, because there are features that are proprietary that you're seeing that no one else has, such as steps, such as the buy-sell line, such as the 25% closes. And our scanner is just superb. It's so simple. And just in less than a minute, you have all the next day's signal. So it's all there, free, included with the discount we have. Okay. What trading platform do I recommend? From Terry, I recommend the PTS Primo charting platform. That's what I recommend. In terms of trading actual, entering orders, I think that's up to you. Now we supply, the Primo charting platform, but you can also apply it to MT4, TradeStation, Metastock, NinjaTrader, Sierra Charts, Interactive, FCXM, and Thinkorswim users can use the live free stock data to run a free Ninja charting platform. We help you set that up. So those are all the different platforms you can use with our methods to enter orders with. It's up to you to decide what you'd like, okay? Let me see here. Let's see, Mark is asking, in your years of experience, do you hold trades into earnings, or do you find it better to step aside? That's a good question, Mark. Mark, I personally don't care at all about earnings. I haven't looked at earnings in 40 years. Now, remember, my credo, my philosophy is no two traders should ever trade alike. So our philosophy is to present you and to inform you with sound education that has stood the test of time, and we try to point you in the right direction. We give you strategies, we give you methods, and different variables for all of these different methods, but then we let you decide which of the variables you want to apply to a current strategy. If you feel you need to know or want to be on the sidelines when earnings come out, that's fine. No one is going to tell you not to do that. But if you're asking me personally, I haven't looked at earnings. I couldn't tell you what earnings forecasts are. I don't even know when they come out. And I'm still here. Okay, I'm still trading. So for me, there's no reason to look at that. And that's what my mentors taught me. They said, Steve, there's no reason. I mean, why would you care? But the market's already telling you in advance most likely what it wants to do. So why are you waiting or stepping aside when earnings come out? Now, that's just me once again. We have many traders who say, well, Steve, I need to look at the news. I need to look at earnings. I've just always been trained that way. And in addition, in conjunction with your methods, I seem to do pretty well. Then that's your way of trading. Then that's what you should stick to. All right, so this is what I tell traders. Trade the way that makes you feel comfortable. The only problem is most traders are uncomfortable with their trading methods because they're trading what someone else has taught them to trade. So once you really feel comfortable with whatever you're trading, you start becoming more consistent. That's our philosophy, okay? Okay. In terms of brokers, in terms of markets, we don't have any affiliation with any brokers, so that's just something you're going to have to do the research on your own. Remember, as I stated in the opening, we are an educational company. We're not affiliated with brokers. We do not, have brokerage services. That's something that, as a trader, you have to take responsibility for. Okay, we can tell you that our methods can also be applied with the MT4, with TradeStation, with Metastock, with NinjaTrader, Sierra Charts. But we feel for the best education, you should be subscribing to our new PTS Primo chart platform, because all the information is right there. That's what our goal is, and that's what our purpose is, to supply traders with education, not with brokerage services, not with news, not with fundamental education. We don't believe in that, so we don't teach that, okay? Good questions, though, and remember, that is a great, great offer on the new PTS charting platform. There are so many features available there because we put everything into one charting platform, and it's just one click away. So there's really no work on your part. You know, a lot of times you'll go to a platform, you're so excited, and it's so complicated, you sit there going, I don't know how to use this. I mean, how do I apply this? But as I showed you in the webinar here, it's just one click away. You just go to the strategy tab at the top, and whatever you're looking for, you click it on, and it appears instantly on the screen. So that's how simple it is to get in sync with the market. Okay, if there are no other questions, in closing, I really can't stress you need to take advantage of this great deal to get in sync with the market so that you instantly know what the short-term trend is. Okay, I've been using this technique for 40 years. I wouldn't leave home without it. I use it on a daily basis. In closing, remember, contact Pro Trader Strategies. The best thing to do is to call them directly at the phone number. That's area code 310-598-6677, and put together a payment plan. That way you don't have to come up with one lump sum. Just for a small deposit, you can be up and running as early as today. Okay? So that's the phone number in front of you. And in closing, I want to thank you so much. I hope you got something out of this. I wish you all the best of luck in trading, and I look forward to all of you becoming students and members of mine at Specialist Trading. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.